Ancient Europe. Yep, there's a bunch of facts. Humans in 38,000 BC. There are a lot of countries, and that was one of the challenging things, that myths in Europe overlap quite a bit. The pantheons, like it says, myths, creatures, Germanic tribes, well, there's so much variation. You can go to the next slide. So, what I found was probably one of my favorites, just because of, okay, so in Germany, she's extremely popular. Frau Holle. She's a character in Grimm's fairy tales. But the funny thing about that is that she's actually a very, 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 very old goddess. And Wilhelm Grimm adapted her, one of the stories about her that was common among people that he talked to, into this fairy tale. And therefore in Hessen, whenever it snows, they say that Frau Holle is making her bed. She's associated with so many different things, one of which is snow. You can listen. Okay, so this is the main story. A beautiful, industrious girl is abused by her stepmother. She loses her spindle, covered in the blood of her labor because her stepmother sucks, in a well. Her stepmother forces her to go in after her. She loses her senses, but awakens in a sunlit, flower-filled meadow. It's a very different take on an underworld type realm. Very bright and cheerful, almost strange, very strangely so. She encounters talking bread, which she saves from a hot oven, and she picks apples for an apple tree because the apple tree, for some reason, really needs its apples picked, and I'm not entirely sure why. You would think it'd be the other way around. She then encounters a woman with large teeth in a cottage and is frightened, but the woman's a very nice woman, her teeth notwithstanding. She's Frau Holle, a goddess of old. The girl stays with the goddess because the goddess allows her to do this because the girl is industrious and kind. And those are the things that Frau Holle values most. She's a protector of women, and she values industrious, hardworking girls who are kind. Eventually, they live together for like years and years. Eventually, the girl becomes homesick, and Frau Holle is like, okay, I get that, and then escorts her home, gives her a lot of money, and returns her spindle after years and years. There's a second part we're contrasting with the girl's lazy stepsister, who does not help out the bread or the apple tree, and is punished by Frau Holle because of it. So it's a morality story. She has another creature version, where she lives in a pond and bestows fertility upon women who bring her their lazy children as sacrifices. Because she herself cannot have children of her own, but apparently she can bestow fertility to other women. So, and my claim of truth is for France. The French homeopathy community likes the idea of a water cure, where water retains a memory of a medicinal quality. And for some reason in France, this is like a big thing, just homeopathic medicine. So I thought that was really neat. There's a specific study here, Jacques Benaviste. And yeah, that's essentially what I got. So, all right, island hopping.
All right, so I did island hopping. Different islands or archipelagos. Approximately 1/6 of the world's population lives on islands. They can be found in oceans, lakes, rivers, seas, and the oldest island is Madagascar. The youngest is one off the coast of Iceland. So many of the islands overlap in origin stories, pantheons, things like that, because of how they were explored, and that's part of the reason why I did not just choose a specific island chain. I wanted to show you that they overlap in some of their mythology, and that's 1/6 of the world's population. We're not exploring some of the oldest stories in the world. Next slide, please. So, Sedna, Greenland's Inuit legend. She does transfer into Alaska and Canada, but more so, again, focusing on island chains. She was a self-sufficient woman who refused to marry. She eventually did marry because of a sweet-talking trickster who was very lazy. She went off with him, and her father found out she was being abused, and so he went and took her back, and when he did this, the husband turned into a bird of sorts, or an eagle of sorts, and he pursued the family's canoe. He flapped his wings so great that it created this storm, knocking her over into the water, and she was clinging on for dear life. She asked her dad to help him. He cut off her fingers and let her fall into the ocean. Her clothes were too heavy, she couldn't swim, so she was drowning. And the story is basically that, go ahead, hit the next. She sank to the bottom, drowned, but instead of drowning, she became able to breathe underwater. Her fingertips stopped bleeding blood, and actually it turned into silver, and then the silver became fish. And so the Inuits believe that her fingertips then became the great sea creatures of the ocean, and they pray to her to release the animals for prosperous hunting and fishing. Similar deities like her exist for the Greeks in Petra, along the Mediterranean islands, and then the Maori Polynesian mythology god have the god of father and sea creatures, including mermaids. True story is that the Snake Island, Ilha de Queimada Grande, is the deadliest island in the world. It's infested with somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 golden lancehead vipers. The venom in these vipers can kill a grown man in under an hour. There are reports from fishermen, that say that people have been found dead covered in these snakes. Next slide. What happened? Okay, and then mermaids of myth, legend, and islands. Across the Mediterranean, Homer wrote tales of sirens that lived on small islands. They lured sailors with beautiful songs. It wasn't about sex or safe haven, it was about knowledge. The Orkney Islands off of Norway had silkies, which were kind of on the border. They were seal-like creatures, but some people, because they become beautiful women. Ireland boasts of the Marrows. They have green hair. Solomon Islands have Adaro, which are malevolent merfolk who shoot flying fish at people, which I was totally amused by. The Filipino legends have Sirenas, which are the closest to what we think of when we think of Little Mermaid or the sirens that we think of. And across, the regions and island chains, that mermaid culture goes even further. It goes back to Africa, where Mama Wataba, or Katapo, same person, translated when they brought the slave trade over into the islands for rum running. So, and then the urban legend of raining frogs is actually a true story, where the frogs actually do fall from the sky. Thank you.
Yes.